morning. The Amherst Township Trustees is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Euring?
Yes.
And Kish is present. I have the meeting minutes from the October 25th Amherst Township meeting, trustee meeting. The meeting was called to order at 7:02 p.m. by Lynch with a pledge to the flag. Roll call, Abraham, Lynch, Euring, and Kish were present. Also in attendance was Case Marsh, G. Lynch, S. D'Ambrosio, J. Wilhelm, and C. Nyhart. 10-12-22, a motion by Euring, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the October 11, 2022 regular meeting minutes as corrected. All ayes. Trustee Euring noted that the motion numbering system in the 10-11-22 minutes jumped from 10-5-22 to 10-9-22. Motions 10-6, 10-7, and 10-8 do not exist. 10-13-22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve that the September 2022 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. 10-14-22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing, which includes ARPA fund expenditures as specified in documents provided by the fiscal officer. All ayes. 10-15-22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to accept the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor, revised code section 5705.34-35. All ayes. Under reports for zoning, 91 permits year-to-date, 22 new homes year-to-date, 5 permits so far this month, 2 for new homes. All zoning complaints have been taken care of. Under fire inspector, reported that open burning in the township is getting excessive. A burn ban has been issued by the EPA for the month of October and November between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Under road, park, and cemetery, road superintendent Smarsh reported dumpster days went well. Russell started yesterday. He's working out great. The biggest area of concentration is leaf pickup. Under lower code, trustee Lynch provided a chart showing customer volume and rates as of 10/23/22. Wastewater treatment for 1,332 customers in Carlisle and Eaton Township is provided by ALRW, 133 in Eaton Township by Grafton Village, and 570 in Cinnamon Lake by West Salem Facility. Phase 2, packets contained a memo from Don Romanchik, Director of Lorain County Stormwater Management District. This memo notes that the county commissioners will be using ARPA funds to help with 34 various stormwater infrastructure projects. The 2 projects affecting Amherst Township are the Batten House extension from Oberlin Road to Middle Ridge and Batten House Ditch lateral number 2. MOUs have not been received yet. Under complaints, they are being handled by the designated individual. Under new business, 10-16-22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to appoint a representative of the township to the Board of Trustees of the Rural Lorain County Water Authority. All ayes. 10-17-22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Euring. Move to enter into executive session at 7:34 p.m. according to ORC sections 121.22G8 for TIF and annexation discussions, 121.22G1 for personnel items, and 121.22G3 for legal issues concern over property access. All ayes. 10-18-22, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to return from executive session at 8:20 p.m. All ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, November 8th, 2022 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 10-19-22, a motion by Euring, seconded by Abraham to adjourn at 8:20 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the October 25th meeting minutes? Not. Can I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Okay, and your packets contained the payment listing for the first part of the month. Nothing out of the ordinary other than the precision paving payment, which is a big chunk of that.
$20,000 chunk.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
And our year-to-date revenue is $1,946,000. $1,682.93. And our expenditures are $1,406,032.80. And that's all I have for financials. Need those numbers?
Real good.
This is your revenue, this is your expenditures.
Chris, I do have a question.
Sure.
First go to the revenue summary under the general fund.
Yep.
The month to date of the 103,000, which is larger than normal.
So what is, I'm sorry?
$103,364 month to date revenue, which is,
General fund.
Okay.
yeah.
That 103,000 was our payment, our reimbursement back
ARPA?
from.
That's what I was wondering, okay. And then, to go to the same thing, then on the appropriations, then the ARPA is, we just have then the remaining 140,225. Okay, good.
Which will be close to this quarter's payroll.
Okay.
I would think we'd have a little going over into,
Which is still fine.
Right.
Yeah.
that's all I have.
Okay, are there any other questions on the financials?
No, I have none.
Okay, then I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payment of items on the payment listing, which includes ARPA fund expenditures as specified in the document provided by the fiscal officer. And actually, Chris, I'll say expenditures in, well, just expenditures. That's
Okay.
good. That'll be my motion.
I second it.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
And the number on that?
That's 11-2.
2. Okay, anything else, Chris?
That's it.
All right, I don't see any audience members, so we'll move on to correspondence and announcements. Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, Denny?
Nothing?
Okay, I actually had put it under the correspondence here versus under the zoning, but the zoning commission did have a final development plan meeting for a 48-home phase of the sandstone development called Four Seasons. And as our current zoning resolution indicates that after the zoning commission reviews this, and they did approve it 4-0 with one abstention, that then the trustees either agree with the zoning commission or disapprove it. And as far as the final development plan, and these are going to be homes that are constructed by Kehovinian. They'll be square foot from 1,600 to 2,100 square feet. It is in an age-restricted area, so this will only be 55 and over. You can see up on the screen, Georgianne has it up there, it's that area in red. So you've got Merriment Way coming off of Sandstone Parkway. That's heading there towards the, that would actually be like the southeast. And then you have Mile Away that's coming off of Merriment and going to the east there. So those are the 48 lots that we're talking about right now. And Georgianne, can you go to the next screen? And you've got copy. Okay, this is going to be what the entryway looks like, or the proposed entryway. At the zoning commission meeting, they did have some discussion that some of the landscaping may have to be adjusted there for site plans. And though they didn't discuss the specific sign, one of the zoning commission members said that they thought one of the signs was out of spec with the zoning resolution. So the developer said they'd take a look at that and either adjust the sign itself or they have to ask for a variance. So you had mentioned the sign height, but I didn't see it on this particular print where there was a conflict with our zoning. But if there is, that's something that has to be changed prior to any construction. So with that, I'm going to make a a motion that the Board of Trustees pursuant to Amherst Township zoning resolution, Article 1200, Plan Development District, finds and determines that it is in the best interest of the township to approve the Amherst Consolidated Properties 4 Seasons at Sandstone Subdivision Final Development Plan for the construction of 48 homes in the Sandstone Development and the findings of the Zoning Commission. The approved final development plan shall remain valid for a period of 12 months following completion of the construction of Sandstone Parkway by Lorraine County. All construction shall be consistent with the settlement agreement by and between Amherst Township Board of Trustees and Amherst Consolidated Properties and Consolidated Investment Group, LLC, and the Consolidated Investors Group 2, LLC, for the Sandstone Plan Development District and Preliminary Development Plan, settling Lorraine County Common Pleas Court Case number 20 CV 200199 pursuant to Revised Code 505.07. Section 3, this approved 4 Seasons at Sandstone Subdivision Final Development Plan for the construction of 48 homes shall become for the proposed development a binding commitment of the specific elements approved for development. The approved development plan may be transferred to another person, corporation, or group of individuals or corporations prior to the issuance of a building permit. A request for such a transfer or change of ownership shall be presented to the zoning inspector and granted only if the new ownership entity satisfies the administrative, financial, legal, and all other performance guarantees approved with the original development plan. All construction and development under any building permit shall be in accordance with the approved plan. Any departure from such plan shall be cause for revocation of the zoning certificate. Any changes in an approved plan shall be resubmitted for approval in accordance with the Amherst Township Zoning Resolution, Article 1200, Plan Development District, and the rest is all boilerplate. So that'll be my motion.
I will second that motion.
Okay, now the floor will be open for any comments.
My concerns dated the last subdivision that came about was that the removal of the trees. I find they lost a lot of trees, old growth trees. I think that long-term will hurt. Also, there were some complaints from the neighbors, and I found out they never were really settled.
Which complaint is that?
Working with the grindings and the woodworking with that one contractor, removal of the logs.
Did they
Or
contact
dust.
the contractor for what they'd won as far as the settlement?
I don't know the specifics, but I just know that it wasn't settled.
But then how can you say it wasn't settled if you don't know what did they ask for?
Nothing was done.
Was the complaint that they had debris getting on their vehicles and in their pool? Because that's the only complaint I remember.
On the house and
The house too?
houses and
So
In
how would you
yard and-
propose you resolve that, David?
they need, how do you resolve that, make them whole, that you need to pay for any cleanup that was done?
So if you have something dirty, you get it cleaned, right?
Yeah.
Are you aware that with one property owner, that offer's already been made? So again, it's up to the property owner, and I made that clear, and I provided the contact information and left it up to them to contact and negotiate what they want to resolve that. To put us in the middle of that, now that, well, I don't like that, do this, and you're like a ping pong ball going back and forth. I mean, it's no different than they just harvested the beans next to me. You want to see the dust we got? Did you come down and take care of that? You know, I could go and ask the guys that, since they lease the equipment, hey, will you come and clean it up? but I know where that'll go. I had one guy offered one year when they threw all the debris in our yard, and, oh, he'll be back and get it, and naturally never did, and I didn't expect him to come back. But again, we can't solve every issue. I know it's frustrating with this change. I don't think there was anybody here that jumped up and down and wanted it. But when you say it wasn't resolved, what evidence you have it wasn't resolved, and what resolution did they want? Now, you just offered one that could have been, and with that, who's in a position to negotiate that? Who's in the best position to do that?
The property owner and the contractor.
Property owner and contractor. And so if I provided, here's the contractor's contact information, to say it wasn't resolved, and I asked you if they worked with them and you didn't know. So how can you say it's not resolved if you don't know? I'm ready to take them off. I've left them on here only because I've sent it back to them. Here's the contact information. Work with them. You've got to let them clearly know, what is it you expect? Okay? That's not something we can do. I mean, what would we do different? I mean, you know the real situation. They originally planned on doing that operation for the wood chipping further to the north. You remember that? They even put the stone area in there, the whole bit, to do it. Remember why then they added another one and came to the south? Do you remember why? You've been at every meeting. Do you remember how they explained that?
I believe it was away from the house on the north.
Get away from the house on the north. So in resolving, complying with the request that one property owner had caused an issue for other property owners. So, you know, it's that old darned if you do and darned if you don't. But again, the property owner's got to take some responsibility in this. We can't resolve every issue. And if it really came down to it, if we went to the prosecutor on this, what would the prosecutor tell us?
I don't know, you talk to the prosecutor.
Did you talk to the prosecutor? Did you take responsibility to resolve these complaints?
No.
Okay. Did you have any contact with any of the residents that complained?
No.
You did have contact with them? What'd you tell them?
Contact that I had was that it still wasn't, nothing was done. That's what I understand.
What do you mean nothing was done? Nothing was done by
to
who?
clean up.
But
Clean
again,
up. That's the impression I was left
if
with.
you have,
from
so you
speaking
have a
with
dirty
them.
car and a dirty house, how do you clean it? How do you resolve that issue? If
You
I
have
were
to
in
have
that
it washed,
situation,
Neil. You have to have it washed. Probably.
I'll tell you-
I would think that would be the only way.
I'll tell you what I would do. Hey, this is a situation I have, you know, and now I've got to go and wash my car more often, blah, blah, blah. Well, you give me X number of car washes. As far as my house, maybe I'll ask for it to be power washed. Maybe I'll say, oh, the rain will get it. Because it's no different than when people are cutting grass or farming. You know that. Come down to my house when they're plowing that field. You know, you see nothing but dust going all over the place. So to say nothing was done is not accurate. The property owner was contacted. Now it sounds you just admitted you contacted them too. Did you provide them any information with the contractor's contact information?
Well,
So you
should have
did
had
nothing
that
to
already.
resolve it, but I provided that information. I've got an email record to show that. So it's not true that nothing was done. The burden is now on that individual to say, what do they want done to resolve the issue? If we went to the prosecutor, you know the prosecutor would tell us it's a civil matter. That's no different than the squabble between neighbors that we have today. So we did what we could. You know, we can't resolve every issue. We have to stay within the lanes that the revised code allows us to. You know, but, you know, and the trees, again, I can't think of anybody that lives in that area that's jumping up and down saying, I wanted this development. But at the same time, we know we have a responsibility for every property owner's rights. And so the owners of that property have rights. We went to court over this. You know that. So, you just keep bringing this up, but to throw things out there like nothing was done to resolve it, the only thing we could do is, here's the contact information. Call them and explain what you want to resolve this situation. I know one property owner that was offered that they'd power wash their house, and they decided they didn't need that done. It wasn't that bad. Are you aware of that?
No.
Okay, well, you're aware now, but just be cautious when you're broadcasting out here that nothing was done, which looks like people have been remiss, which isn't the case. Okay? All right, is there anything else here?
No, Neil, that's it.
Okay, and as far as the document that's up right now, the main key there is showing where the stormwater detention is and then the circulation path that's been put in for the emergency vehicles. So that's temporary for the emergency vehicles because obviously there's going to be another phase that'll actually be going to the east there with additional homes. So and I don't know when they'll be coming to the township for that. We expect the Redwood development, or the Redwood phase would be the next one. We really thought that would be showing up at the last zoning commission meeting, but I don't know, Stam, if they even provided anything since, so.
Nope.
Okay. So again, that's up to the developer and who they're selling it to as far as Redwood when they approach the zoning commission. They had come in for an informal presentation, went through things, but I assume you haven't heard from them since then. All right, are there any other comments on here? If not, then roll call, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Uri?
No. What is the resolution?
11-3-22.
Okay, we'll move on to reports. The sheriff's not here, so zoning, Sam?
Not a whole lot. I didn't print up a log for you guys because we just have had one permit, which was for a fence since the last time we met. Brings us to 92 permits year to date, and we're still at 22 homes, new homes. That's about it.
That was at how many homes here today?
22.
Two, I've got the wrong number there. Okay, and just so the trustees are aware, Sam's asked for an executive session today, so we will have one later in regards to a potential legal matter over a zoning issue. Okay, roads, parks, and cemetery, Superintendent Marsh.
Oh, we just been mostly on leaves. We did a round, the last round of roadside mowing and mowing of the weed whipping of the guardrails. We do have a truck ready for in case we get some of the colder temperatures this weekend, in case something comes around. It doesn't sneak up on us, so we're ready for that. And everything's been going great. I don't want to jinx it, but everything's been going real well here lately. And even in the windstorm,
Yeah.
that was some crazy wind. And I don't want to,
The Dairy Queen sign?
yeah, I don't want to say we got off scot-free, but we got off scot-free. So that was a blessing because that was some crazy wind. And I do have another catch basin. If I can gangster it here before the weather gets to be too bad, I'm going to get that one taken care of, and that is on Moss Canyon.
Okay, I'm going to ask you on that catch basin, and if you can work with Linda, and might even want to double check Linda, in talking with Don Romankak or Jessica Zlosky, but at the last Lorraine County Township Association meeting, they had indicated there was more of that mini grant funding available, so I would put in for it.
Okay.
You know, so they weren't holding to, you know, the original limit that they had set.
I see.
Okay? I mean, I talk with them first, so you don't waste time putting together anything, but if you've got the location, if you could give that to Linda, and you know what it is, then what the work is, and a photograph, that'd be enough.
Yeah,
Okay?
absolutely. Yeah, other than that, everything's going smooth.
Okay. Are there any questions for Kevin? Okay. All right, Township Administrator, Linda Ashley.
We just received word that OPWC has paid Precision Paving for the Dewey Road project. And then I heard Chris say that she sent out the check, or will be sending out the check for our part. We're just waiting on Amherst City to reimburse us what the cooperative agreement was. So we can close out that project pretty soon here, hopefully. Other than that, it's just Medicare time. I have a couple people scheduled to come in to do the Medicare comparisons. Other than that, it's pretty quick. Oh, the Wreaths Across America, Kathy Kennedy came in this morning, and she was looking at the veterans for Middle Ridge and Kindig, and she thinks she has most of them. I'm going to double check my records against hers. She said she has enough donations at this point to cover Kindig and Middle Ridge for the veterans, so they each get a wreath. But they are looking for volunteers to come out on December 17th. Times to be determined. They don't know yet specifics. She's got a lot of moving parts and a lot of groups that they're trying to coordinate with honored guards and different veteran groups. So hopefully we'll know pretty soon, since it is only, about 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
Other than that, she'll be in contact with us, and she's got a good handle on it.
Okay, good. And as far as the precision pavement, Dewey Road project, you're working with Chris to make sure that everything with the cooperative agreement with Amherst, that
Yep,
you know,
we'll
the
make
right
sure it's all
payments
done.
are done in the right way. Okay.
I CC'd you on it.
I did see the
Was
email
that
this
okay,
morning.
the
Yep.
way I, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Did you get my check?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, and she said thank you, and she was very, very grateful.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure it was got.
Yep, yeah,
Since you weren't here.
yeah. She
Okay,
was quite
thank you.
pleased.
Thank you.
Great. No more? All right, thanks, Linda.
Mhm.
Okay, next you have here in regards to the Phase 2 is the stormwater management. There's 2 documents in your packet. The main thing is we did receive the memo of understanding from Lorraine County Stormwater District in regards to the next phase of the Bat House Ditch, which is going to be from the Lakeshore Railway overpass, which, you know, it goes over Overland Road, but it'll be a little bit further to the northwest of that. But from there on up to the culvert where the Bat House Ditch goes under Middle Ridge and joins in with the east branch of Beaver Creek. What got a little confusing here was that the memo of understanding, it talks about an additional $80,078, so figure $80,000 available that the county is providing, which may include ARPA Rescue Plan Act funds. But the odd thing is our project itself is only $88,000, just under $89,000. So it says that those additional funds could be used and we wouldn't have to put a match in, but that's almost the same amount as the total project. Then there was that the township would be obtaining the permanent easements along the ditch, and then that if the easements couldn't be acquired, that the county and the township agree to pursue the project under Ohio Revised Code Chapter 6131, which is the ditch petition process. That's a very long process. and it takes a couple of public hearings. But they have added in here, or other statutory mechanisms that the county deems appropriate to ensure the permanent maintenance of the drainage way. And at the seminar that the prosecutor just put on, they kind of hit on this, and the memo I provided from Don Romankek at the last meeting referred to this, is that there is actually another section, the ORC under 6117, where they wouldn't have to go through those long preparation for those public hearings. There'd still be a public hearing, but it would short circuit it. And the reason they got this option in here is the county commissioners have actually provided $6.5 million towards 30, I believe it was 34 drainage projects. If they had to do a ditch petition on every one of those, it'd be several years to get through those, and they don't have the resources to do it any quicker. So that's why they're looking at this 6117 as an alternative, which, to our knowledge, has not been ever used here in Lorain County. But the preferred way is just to get the easements as we've had in the past. I did speak with Don Romankek. There are 3 easements on that portion of the project he doesn't have yet. But the one he threw my way, which I said I'd take, is I'm going to contact First Energy. I do have a contact there that in the past has been very responsive, so we can get that one done. But even though it says the township will get those, the county's agreed that since they've already started, and I had provided them the list of all the property owners, that they'll take care of that. You'll see there's an email I have in here in the one document with the 4 questions. So the first one, dealing with that extra 80,000, how can we use it? In the discussion with Don, where I had mentioned this additional 2,000 feet starting from Stang Road and continuing to the east and south along Batten House, yes, that's what they were looking at, that since the 2 projects are about the same length, they just said they allocated 20,000 or 80,000 to this as a potential. No guarantee it'd happen, but we might be able to get double the project length and a no township match. So we'll still pay that approximately 18,000 for our match for the first part, but the second part, it may be 100% county funds. But there's an additional group of 8 easements, I believe, that are required. I already mentioned the county's going to get those easements. We discussed the 6117. That we don't have with this project, at the time when I met with Pete Zawick, the county engineer's office, and Don Romankek out there, and I remember it was very cold, and walked with one of the residents that's getting a lot of flooding there, is Pete thought that this would be predominantly a removing some significant log jams and taking down some dead trees, not necessarily reprofiling the ditch like's been done on the others. So he said that the stormwater district could provide a reasonable estimate based on similar projects they've done, which they've provided that. But the question is, since it says the township will acquire the contractor, is, well, what do we provide them to bid? We don't have anything other than, well, go out and take down some trees and clear the log jams. The log jams are pretty easy to see, but how do you decide which trees you take down? So Don did assure me they're going to put together, he said it'll be a more simplified version. It won't be all the prints with all the profiles. It'll most likely be a 3 to 4 page document. And when we receive that, we'll be able to decide if we solicit bids or if we solicit proposals for this project. I did make sure it's okay. I want to contact the first property owner on Stang Road, which is where it would start if we then are successful in doubling the project length and continuing on. But the county said they would still go ahead and follow through with that. I did let them know only one property owner, I think, has changed over since we put together that grant request, but the others are still there. So with that, I just want to make this motion that we've already had authorized where Kevin or Linda or I could sign this MOU on the previous Amherst Township resolution, which was 3/13/22, but I didn't want to do that since this kind of changes everything where we potentially could be doubling the scope of this project. So I put a separate resolution together. Linda only printed the first 4 pages of this because the rest is the original application, that original resolution with the authorization. So you guys have received the electronic copy that's complete, but I didn't want to reprint everything on there again. So I'm going to make a motion that the Amherst Township Chairperson, trustee assigned responsibility for stormwater management, happen to be the same, or the Township Road Superintendent is authorized to sign the attached memorandum of understanding with Lorraine County Stormwater District as previously authorized by Amherst Township Resolution Number 3/13/22. And the rest is boilerplate, so that'll be my motion.
Second.
Okay, now are there any other questions on this? Understand what's going on? All right. Roll call then, Chris?
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And the number on that, Chris?
Is 11-4-22.
Okay, and Chris, I imagine it's probably easiest if I give you the MOU to take in with you, or do you want to mail it?
No, I'll take it with me.
Okay. Because then they'll have to sign it and send
Do you
a
want a
signed copy
certified
back to
copy
them.
of this with it to go in
Yeah,
there?
it's probably
Okay.
best to do that.
We'll just be covered.
Okay. Okay, as far as complaints, the only one really where there's any question on this, and David, the ones as far as the complaints on the debris I've left open there, but it's more for the residents to let us know if they feel they got it resolved after contacting the contractor. There's nothing more we're doing on that. But the one on the shed, you're taking care of that, so don't need anything there. So at this point, I am going to ask under solid waste, David, Kevin did receive a quote for the yard waste grinding, which is significantly higher than our experience in the past. But I did put a copy of the email that Kevin has with that proposal from the contractor and also my response for you to address this. There's a copy in your packet.
I believe in your response you could break it into 2 parts. The first part dealt with the cost, the second part dealt with the financing. As regards to the first part, I checked with a couple of people, made a couple of contacts. One is Shane Donnelly, and it's referenced through David Blevins, Solid Waste, and we're going to meet tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. I spoke with Carlisle Township,
Okay.
and they do not do yard waste. And Eaton Township, indicated they had used Edwards Tree Service. So I called Edwards Tree Service and made an appointment with them tomorrow at 8. We're going to look at that. What Edwards said to me, they grind or chip and haul them away, but they haul them to Green Circle and use them for fuel for the greenhouses. They do with their wood chips, their mulch. So we'll see what he says when he sees the file. But those 2 items. So try to come up with a better price. I don't know whether Mr. Donnelly, whether he would have use for the grindings this year, or whether this is something in the future with him. He's new and he's trying to get started. He's working with the county, City of Lorraine, he wants to do a composting facility on the west side of Lorraine. Doing so, he would need access to grinding wood chips and brush. So,
Don't
but I'm
put in the
interested,
brush
whether or
and
not
weeds.
that'll transpire this year, enough to help us right now, I don't know. Well, I'll find out tomorrow. So I have an appointment with Mr. Donnelly and with Scott from Edwards Tree Service. We'll look at that as far as the cost. As far as funding, as far as money, the only thing available from solid waste would be something through the EPA, and you have to apply way in advance. Perhaps next year, something might be available. I would hope so, because one of the concerns of the district is yard waste, to get the yard waste out of the waste stream. And I think we do a heck of a job with what we do here. We take a lot of tonnage out of the waste stream by doing our own yard waste. And
3,200 cubic yards.
yeah, even with barns, which is pricey, they're moving it out of the waste stream, bring in the compost. So, try to at least keep that going, one way or the other. So,
How about the stormwater grant?
I ran that by Don Romancic, and he didn't think so. But he asked for a copy of the quote, and I just forwarded him the whole email string. And he has your concerns on it also, Neil.
Okay.
And he looked into it, but he didn't sound too optimistic.
Well,
But I also asked for any other funding that might be available, be it ARPA or development, any funds that might be out there.
But didn't seem optimistic because the amount of money available, or not optimistic because of the fact that
Stormwater, as far as how it related to
keeping it clean?
stormwater.
Oh, okay, well, just so you're aware, I copied this paragraph I copied off the EPA's website for the Division of Surface Water. So the EPA says it's good. If you want to check it, I think it will work.
But that's what I've done so far, I'm not the responses.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad, that's good, David.
We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Okay. I was surprised Carlisle, they aren't picking up leaves
No,
anymore?
I talked
They
to
were
Bill
doing
Allen.
good.
I don't know as far as, he's gonna ask for it. They do yard waste.
What do they do with they don't do the leaf
I don't
pickup
know.
anymore?
They have a brush pile because I see the sign every Sunday. It says brush pile open or closed.
For Carlisle?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I talked to Bill Oliver and he said they don't do it. No yard waste.
And see, Elyria, I don't know if it's still the same. When they started their composting area, it's actually operated by a third party. The city doesn't operate it. Basically doesn't cost them. And that's where, keep in mind the other one, and this may be your discussion between these different individuals you talked with, David, plus the one where Kevin got the quote, you might want to consider where we enter into an agreement, the multi-year agreement, because that was their concern. They don't want to bid on it 1 year and the next year they're out of there, where we either get a reduced price or zero price, but they know they've got a supply of material and they've got a place where it can be operated on, and they can plan when they come in, or they can come in multiple times, which, they could use a smaller grinder. They don't need the huge, large one if you're doing it through the year. So keep that in mind when you have those discussions as far as the options. But I appreciate that you looked into that. That's good.
One thing you gotta remember too with the grinders, is the smaller the grinder, the smaller the limbs that it can do. With a large grinder, it can grind some pretty large limbs, pretty wide limbs. So, sometimes you get some wide limbs back there. Might behoove you to have a large grinder, or you might get a small grinder and it might
They may
not
use
be
it-
able to handle it because it's too large.
Well,
So
they're
this
not-
is something we'll find out.
Yeah, we shouldn't, those large ones aren't supposed to be back there. This is supposed to be yard waste. you know,
Brush.
Brush,
Well-
yeah, leaves, so those aren't even supposed to be there. And
They
if
had to
they
get
are
rid of a
there,
tree or something, they look for a place for the wood. Well, you'd think that firewood, somebody would take it, but at the same time, maybe not, maybe somebody will find a home for a limb. But that's where it's at right now, Neil.
oh, good, well, make sure you keep Kevin informed as what's going on, because, what's the deal now with this one? Do we have to wait? Because Kevin's
Well,
got,
we're under the gun right now. We have to come up with an answer pretty quick, at least for this fall, because Barnes needs to schedule. And they're ready to schedule. If we don't get them an answer pretty soon, then we'll wind up doing it in January, and then I'll have to beg the solid waste for an extension to the grant deadline so that we can get the grinding done.
all right, well, I keep on, if it's solid waste, I could see with their situation, maybe the money's not there, but stormwater, review the EPA's website. It's right on there for those that have to comply with stormwater cleanliness. So in our case, the phase 2. So, I mean, I didn't make that up. I took it right off their website. But with that, though, just to buy you time so we're not waiting till another meeting, we probably should give Kevin the flexibility here, and I don't have anything prepared because the bid he has right now exceeds the internal limit we set within the township. So I'm going to make a motion that the road superintendent is authorized to select a provider for the grinding and removal of the yard waste. Sorry, Chris.
That's all right, I just have, I'm up to road superintendent.
Grinding, removal, and processing.
Of yard waste.
I have authorized that the road superintendent as,
Is authorized.
thank you.
To select a supplier or contractor, however you want to put it, for the grinding, processing, and removal of the yard waste from the township's recycling yard at a cost not to exceed $18,000. Okay, so that'll be my motion, and that way, as David's researching this, you and David
I'll
can work
second.
directly. We're not holding you guys up, at least for this year. All right, David seconded that. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, Chris?
Lynch,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham.
Yes,
David, thanks for looking into that. Okay, the last item I have, it deals with NOPEC. I'm sure you've been seeing in the news, I've had residents call me about the situation with NOPEC where because of the energy costs going through the roof this year, and we're all aware of that, is they found out that the original agreements that they had with the electric supplier, not their gas, but their electric supplier, they're better off to move all their customers back to, in our case, in our township, for those that aren't on Amherst system, would go to First Energy. And because that price was a better price. Well, I was concerned that NOPEC's not going to have that revenue source then for existing. I expected that they would eliminate, at least for a year, the NOPEC Energized Community Grant Program and the community event sponsorship. The community event sponsorship typically is like a $1,500 a year. The Energized Community Grant last year for Amherst Township was $12,010 that we received. But this budget narrative for 2023, which isn't approved yet, still shows that that's going to carry on for next year. So that's the only reason I'm providing this. I am unable to make the annual meeting here from NOPEC where they'll actually approve the budget, but so I did fill out the voting proxy, which authorizes Lorraine County representative, in our case, it's South Amherst Village Mayor Dave Lashinsky will be voting on our behalf in essentially approving the 2022 minutes, the minutes from the last meeting, the new board of directors members, since you got some people changing out of there and some new communities, and then the budget itself. So, I just am not unable to make it. It's already got a conflict. But the big thing is with this, we don't know what we're going to receive because that amount that you receive is based on the number of electric and gas customers that are part of NOPEC. And through the years, that's been going down. The first year, we received $17,312. Each year, it's decreased. And that's because the marketers out there for both gas and electric, but especially electric, they offer all these initial sweet deals to people. They hook them in. They know people generally don't pay attention. And then what they do, they increase the rates. And usually within a year or two after their teaser rate goes away, they're paying a lot more than if they went with NOPEC or even stayed with the current provider, which in our case is First Energy. So people need to be aware of that. I know it's been advertised, we put it in our newsletter, but it's up to individuals to make their choice. So that's it for this one. I've covered all the business we need to cover this evening, so is there anything else to bring forward? Okay, if not, Kevin, we won't need you for an executive session. Linda, we won't need you. We are going to need Sam, so I'm going to make a motion that we enter into executive session at 7:52 p.m. Per Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 G3 to deal with pending litigation, and this will be in regards to a zoning violation and property access.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Make a motion to return from executive session.
I'll second it.
At 8:25 p.m.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes. Okay, is there any other business?
Not at this time.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will
Second
second.
it. David seconds it.
I did?
Lynch?
Okay.
Yes.
Euring?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.